But understand something. The reason I did this program in 2 stages was because, first, our government, as official policy, lied about everything about the first Iraq conflict. They were exposed to biological and chemical agents. We showed you in the film, all right? You don't have a dispersion when you blow up something, when you have a donut-sized yellow and brown ring hanging in the air. Over 100,000 vets were exposed to that with no weapons, protective gear. Then we give them protective gear that's non-protective. Then we give them experimental vaccines. Then we give them depleted uranium. And then we say, you got sick. It couldn't have been anything we did. Why? Because we were supplying Saddam Hussein in his 8-year war against Iran with biological and chemical weapons. The very thing that we hung Saddam Hussein for killing the Kurds, we were the ones with the British who gave him the chemicals to do it, and also against the Iranians. So had we acknowledged that there was biological and chemical warfare, we would have had to acknowledge we supplied it. And I did an article that actually exposed all of this. Additionally, we have to understand that we have always been using soldiers and prisoners and the poor to experiment with vaccines. And that's what we did here, as we do today. If you haven't been watching my series on vaccines, pay careful attention. Because even today, a mainstream economic blog gave a very positive response and now has come over to our side because they said, this is mainstream. We took a look and we realized we had been misled. It was based upon the testimony I gave under oath before the New York State Legislature on the safety and efficacy of vaccines. They simply weren't prepared to be hit with facts. But the trouble is, in orthodox medicine, you never have the opponents hit you with their facts. You only promote your facts. So we have no facts on that the mainstream media is willing to look at when it comes to Gulf War syndrome. So we have 750,000 Gulf War vets who are sick. 76,000 have died because of Gulf War syndrome. That's more vets have died from Gulf War syndrome than died in the Vietnam War. The 10 years of the Vietnam War, where is their memorial for them? Where is their acknowledgement of their condition for them? Now we're willing to acknowledge post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's no help for them. As a result, how do you get someone to go from being in a war zone like Iraq and Afghanistan today to go home and deal normally with their kids and family? It's a difficult challenge. You just throw them back into that community? What do you expect them to do? They're going to overreact. So we have to decommission their mindset. We have to reintroduce them psychologically to how to deal with life as it is. So we're going to be promoting that concept. So our job is simple. 3 things. 1, spread the message. No one's going to do anything if they don't know what the program is and what the problem is. Let people know the problem. 2, start to reach out to veterans organizations to let them know you're willing to do some help. Organize them. They're not organized. Bring them together. 3, let's try to get some famous people to come where I have been and where I'm going back next week and work with these vets. We're motivated by 2 types of people in our society, policymakers and opinion leaders. The policymakers are the dynamic energies. These are the ones that are very ruthless. And we rarely ever have any in business, in any institution that are coming from a spiritual place. But also opinion leaders can be very positive and frequently are. We do have those opinion leaders and celebrities who use their status in a good way to remind us what we should be doing. And I'm grateful for those individuals like Martin Sheen and Susan Sarandon and many of these individuals who really help people. So let's reach out to them. Let's let them know. Everyone knows someone who can do something. We all have contacts. And I want to see us doing this. So for the next 3 months, I'm merely asking people, communicate, and let's get a cooperation. Come the summer is when we're going to make a national push. We already have started a radio program on the Progressive Radio Network where we have Doug Rocky, who you saw in the film there, and Dr. Rocky has a show on Sunday night preceding mine. And it's going to be a forum where all these groups can come together and share information and insights. So that's a good thing. And then we're going to get articles out and try to get them into the media. After all, this is not about politics. This has nothing to do with left or right. This has to do nothing about, in this sense, a political agenda. This simply has to do with denying the vet the opportunity to be decommissioned emotionally and physically in a way that allows them to reenter society in a healthy way. So it's about helping them. Let's take some questions, a few questions from the audience now.
You said poor veterans are more discriminated compared to non-poor, non-veteran poor, non-veteran poor.
That is correct.
So why is that so?
No one has ever explained that. We've asked repeatedly. I had long conversations with the people down there, and I said, if you have two poor people, one sits on a bench and you don't give them a ticket because they're just poor. Another sits on the bench and they're poor, but they're a veteran, why would you give them a ticket? And it's just the rules that they have established. But they've given no explanation, none to me. So therefore we can all make up our own mind, and it doesn't mean we're right or wrong. Because could you imagine if they brought in an official policy that being a homeless vet was a crime? Could you imagine the blowback they would get? But they won't make it official. Just like the mayor was caught, giving doublespeak there, if you caught that. Oh. All right? I'm glad people caught it. Another question right back here.
Hi Gary. I bought my son here, Kenneth. He's a signature way to joining the Army, and I bought him to see this production today. Can you give him an advice on that? What you think?
Well, I am biased, and I will tell you my bias. I'm biased against killing people and using my ability to kill them as a justification for my aggression. If you can show me any military conflict that the United States is engaged in the past 40 years that has legitimately made the world safer, was needed in order to make the world safer, I would support that. It cannot be done. Vietnam was a false flag lie. Iraq was a lie. Weapons of mass destruction. Judith Miller, the New York Times. Did any of those people ever apologize for being wrong? The American media would at times throughout history challenge those in power and show how wrong they were. So corporations were constantly trying to defend themselves. So they learned a lesson. They simply bought the media. Now that they own the media, then they can do anything and the media supports them. So where is the media to expose the conspiracies? Where is it to expose the wanton greed, the vileness? You don't see the media over there filming a group of a family standing in the cold, and then the film shows that all the people died because of exposure. If we show the consequences of what we've done to other countries through our military-industrial complex, we would be appalled. But as long as you don't show it, as long as you have Bill O'Reilly and other warmongers and other people like Rush Limbaugh, these are people that they have a right to say what they say. I don't question their right. I just have never seen them say anything that I could support. Because if you're not with us, then you're for the enemy. If you're not for America, you want it to be destroyed. You're for its enemy. That kind of reaction is something you would expect from McCarthy. And these are the new Joseph McCarthys. And they pride themselves on it. Just if you look at the Republican candidates now, you ask yourself, how could anyone want anything to do with any of these people under any circumstances? And they pride themselves on being into their own belief system. The trouble is it doesn't associate itself with making a safer world. If you want to have a safer world, then why don't you ever once put someone into positions of power who actually is spiritual? It is the spiritual nature of the person to seek a way of resolving a conflict without using the deterrence of being nuclear or being the most powerful. So when we have so many Americans losing their homes, when we have students who cannot pay their debt and could be thrown in prison with debt or prison today for not paying student loans, when we have a real estate bubble that is not even fully deflated, and a commercial real estate bubble that's only half deflated, when we have people able to take $16 trillion from the Federal Reserve and use it for themselves and not help the rest of the world, where is the spiritual equation in any of this? Where's the caring for the needs of the average person? And we don't have that. We're going to spend $3 trillion this year on medical care, none of it on health care, none of it preventing any disease, all of it promoting disease and toxic treatments with the exception of emergency medicine, and yet there will be no introspective, closely examined analysis of what we've done wrong. We can't handle showing the dark side of any of our behavior, institutional behavior or special interest behavior. All of our institutions have betrayed us. Our energy cartels have betrayed us. Clean coal, there is no such thing. But look what it does to Appalachia and other places. Hydrofracking, it destroys the underground environment. Just today we found out many of the earthquakes in Ohio and Arkansas were due to hydrofracking. Our religious institutions, our financial institutions, our health institutions, they have all been compromised for their own interest. So they work very diligently in keeping the myth that somehow their interests and ours are the same. If we continue to believe in them and give them power over our choices, we will be rewarded. So take an honest look. Which of those institutions have made it a better world? Show me the institution. Show me the leaders of that institution. Show us how we are better, healthier, safer, and it's a better world, a better environment because of them and their choices. I haven't seen that.